the HOD, Head of Department, that is of the Public and International Law, Nile University of Nigeria. Dr. Sirajo Yakubu joins us from our Abuja studios. We welcome you to the program. Thank you for joining us. Looking at this report as released by INEC, one of the key portions there have to do with IREV, how INEC has also spoken about the failures of the IREV portal to convey results from polling units, so to speak, now to this central portal, which led to the disappointment of many Nigerians. The Supreme Court, as you must have been following during the period of the presidential tribunal stage, also had a thing or two to say about how that also rubbed off somewhat on the integrity of the process. But INEC is saying that there were complexities with this IREV portal which weren't anticipated and couldn't be mitigated. What do you make of that?
Thank you very much once again for having me back in the studio, and good morning, our viewers. You see, it's not good for one to make promises and then not fulfill them. So it's better not to make promises where you know that the action you are going to take have some interdependencies. What I mean that there are other things other factors that will largely determine whether you can fulfill the promise or not. Because what INEC did was that they went around saying that they are prepared, they are going to transmit the result real time from the polling units to the INEC server, and it will be able to be viewed. Not minding that they are not entirely in control of the process. The technical aspect of it, it is something that you and I and INEC do not have absolute control over. There are other factors also. Even if the technology worked very well, the issue of, for example, attacks, cyber attack, the issues of power outage. Even if the beavers have batteries, the battery can run down, and so many other things. The beavers can also freeze. And like they said, the main issue, according to the report, was that the server or the technology could not recognize, because the way could not recognize presidential election as having one single constituency, because in presidential election the whole of Nigeria is a single constituency. Unlike in other elections, where you have so many things and so on. So that was, I think, the reason advanced by INEC why the gadgets or whatsoever could not recognize. Could not allow the upload of the result. But fundamentally, that have affected, disappointed many Nigerians. But I understand the point of INEC that what really happened was not to manipulate the election result. And in any case, the result of 2023 election would have been hard to manipulate. Honestly, it would not be easy to. It wouldn't have been easy to manipulate it. One, it was clearly contested, and I was in the field. The voters and party supporters were all there, monitoring what was going on from polling units to the coalition centers and so on. So, despite what really happened, of course, the glitches, I think the election was free and fair. But there's a mistake, I think, now that's going to be is about to be made. I understand that there is some amendment to the Electoral Act that is going on now at the National Assembly to make transmission of electronic transmission of result mandatory. I think based on what we have discussed, the aspect of other factors, I think it would be a mistake for us to do that, because even if INEC still assures Nigerians that yes, they are ready, they did that before, but unfortunately they could not test their software, their gadget, the technology, to to make sure that, yes, it can handle the large volume of data, and it can handle, it can even recognize the peculiarity of the presidential election. Even if they have said it before, and even if they said it now, there's every possibility that during the 2027 election, that problem can occur for something entirely different, which we might not even envisage now. So to make, transmission of results mandatory, it means that if the results are not transmitted, electronically, it means that probably that the election will not be valid, and that will create constitutional crisis. If it is mandatory to transmit the election results, electronically via beavers, and it's not done, what is it going to happen? Is INEC going to go ahead as it did to declare a winner, especially with the presidential election? If we know what is happening now in the constitutional crisis now in Senegal, because the president there shifted the date of the election, how are we going to handle that? Because that may require shifting the election to another date, and then probably before election can be conducted, because of the cost and the other logistics arrangement, that may even be after the tenure of the sitting president, whosoever might be the president. So that I think the National Assembly should have a rethink. That will not be a good option for us. They should leave some discretion to INEC. Otherwise, there could be constitutional crisis in Nigeria.
That's correct. So, because of our time, and then, we can't, in this one fell swoop, discuss the 526 pages altogether. But then the INEC also maintained that no party-dominated poll, saying the spread of results across party lines was better than in all elections that had been conducted in the country. Saying that, the result distribution was quite unprecedented, with the fact that the incumbent party also lost, some states, and also put paid to the issue of the 25% of the FCT, et cetera, et cetera. Do you feel that all of these claims, put forth the credibility of the concluded 2023 presidential election as against those who are vehemently against the processes, saying that it was manipulated one way or the other?
Well, personally, I don't believe that the election was manipulated, because just like I told you, I was in the field and I monitored what really happened, so I participated. At what point, those that are saying the election must have been manipulated, at what point? The main issue that generated that controversy was the presidential election. And as you can see, even if INEC didn't state that, you can see, if you compare it to the previous elections, how many the spread of the votes. How many votes did the current president won the election? I think about 8 million votes, as against before you see that the winner might have scored no less than 20 million votes. So you can see that the election was hotly and keenly contested. Nobody was sure of winning that election until when it was declared. I think we should put all things behind us. We should be positive. We should look at things positively. That because you didn't win election should not be an excuse for you to start making note that the election has been manipulated. It would have been, what are they going to say? The President Tinubu lost Lagos, and Lagos was his state. APC in Katsina lost election to PDP was a few margin. In so many other places like that, APC lost election, and PDP also lost election in some of its own stronghold. I think the election was actually credible, and it's one of the, I think since since June 12th, this election was the most free and fair election that we have actually seen.
Right, Dr. Sirajo, there's also the issue of with all the credibility issues, unprecedented, if I might add, that INEC incurred at the last general elections, of course, intensifying calls for unbundling of the electoral body. What are your thoughts in this regard? Would you also be advocating same?
Sorry, can you come again? Sorry.
Yes, in terms of the calls for unbundling of INEC as a way to ensure its transparency and, unbiased nature, would you also be advocating for that as well for future elections?
Well, no, because, I don't see why INEC should be unbundled. Unbundled, why? Why? Was there no transparency? We should be honest. And we know if mostly, we will be crying in Nigeria for one fault or the other. But we tend to forget that actually we are all in for it. We are actually, all of us have hand in one way or the other, including those who are crying of problems that we are in. So first and foremost, I think instead of calling for unbundling of INEC, let us, all of us, change our attitude. Change our attitude to look at election that is not a do-or-die affair, and to look at election that even if, you lose election, that you don't win, but in some instances, if you look at it the other way around, that you do lose because there are so many benefits that are deriving from from contesting that election, the issue of popularity, the issue of access and patronage and so on, and even the influence that you have on the people. So I think what we need to do is to look at where INEC has gotten it wrong, pinpoint it to INEC, so that INEC itself can actually make some amendments to put his house in order. And if you read the report, that's what INEC has been doing. They always do, I think in the report, they said they did a review of the 2029 elections and even 2015 election to look, to see what problems occurred at that time and how they can mitigate them. I think they said they found about 100 and something, they had about 100 and something recommendation of emanating from the review, and they have addressed all those recommendations. So this issue of election and democracy itself, it keeps on evolving, and even our behaviors, they keep on evolving and changing. So INEC will have to contend with that evolution as we go further. So even if you unbundle INEC and you create another body, it will face the same problem because it will operate in Nigeria. It will be operated by Nigerians. And like I said, since that this human factor, then we in Nigeria and Nigerians, we have to change our attitude, see elections as not a do-or-die affair, and put the nation first before your own personal interest. My personal interest is supposed to be situated within the public interest. With that, we can make progress. With that, we can make the system work. And once the system is working, I can assure you that, the institution will be very, very strong. And so once we have stronger institutions, then everybody will fall in line, from the president to the farmer. Everybody will fall in line. So I think this is my take on this.
INEC said that 2023 polls gulped 355.2 billion naira, with attack on its facilities, etc., and all of that. We had about 50 different attacks, since 2019 up until, the conduct of 2023 elections. I'm not sure. I guess we're out of time. I won't be able to take this question, but hopefully we'll have this conversation, in no distant time.
Apologies, Dr. Sirajo, Yakubu. We have simply run out of time, and we have some other issues to discuss. Dr. Sirajo Yakubu is the HOD of Public and International Law, Nile University of Nigeria. We thank you, as always, for joining us.